Falcon's flight at the brand new Six Flags Qiddiya City is set to become the world's tallest, fastest, longest, and most insane roller coaster ever constructed in all of history. Thousands upon thousands of general public members and coaster enthusiasts have been anticipating this ride's opening for years, and some have gone as far to say that this could become the greatest roller coaster of all time. However, I have put together 5 reasons that can and will contribute to this ride falling short of those expectations. But first, let's back up for those who have no idea how this colossal project came to be. It's August 26th, 2019, and Six Flags has announced a brand new theme park to be built in Saudi Arabia on a scale that was quite literally unbelievable. This 79-acre property is part of an enormous complex under the name Qiddiya City that will feature a large variety of other tourist destinations expected to have staggered opening dates. The Middle East Six Flags Park is expected to open later this year, which could change just like during its previous delays, but construction seems to be on track. More specifically, many rides and attractions at the park are now undergoing testing and commissioning, including the undisputed most anticipated attraction, Falcon's Flight. This indescribable ride straight from the psychotic engineering and manufacturing company Intamin is unlike anything we've ever seen before. This exit coaster will reach an elevation of 640 feet before dropping off a cliffside, reaching blazing speeds of 155 miles per hour. Oh yeah, it also traverses between 13,000 and 14,000 feet of track. No big deal or anything. Although the precise track span is unclear, Falcon's Flight will destroy 2 of the 3 major world records to a point that we haven't seen since the climax of the Coaster Wars in the early 2000s. So with all of that being said, Falcon's Flight is bound to also secure the throne as the best coaster of all time, right? Wrong. Here's why. For starters, stats do not matter, not even in the slightest regard. And there are so many roller coasters out there that materialize under this paradox. Take the record breakers for example, Qiddiya, Formula Rossa, Steel Dragon 2000, Dododompa, the list goes on. The only thing that makes these coasters really special is their one caveat that raised the bar just a little more. Otherwise, their glaring issues of length, buzzkills, meandering, and or layout disposal would be all the more prevalent. And then you shift your attention to the rides that weren't even close to breaking any world records, but instead focus on providing the best ride experience possible. Think Conda, Voltron, Thunderhead, Twisted Timbers, Osiris, Lightning Rod, Ride to Happiness, Stardust Racers. Many of these are widely considered better than most record breakers because their performance, features, and unique layouts make up for their lack of extremities. But none of them exemplify this to the extent of Maverick at Cedar Point. With 17 other coasters in the park, the 105-foot tall Maverick falls outside the top 10 in the height category in the park, with some being double the ride's height and one being quadruple that height. However, Maverick is still regarded as one of the best coasters in the park, usually placed around 3rd or 2nd in many people's lists. Now don't get me wrong, I do believe Falcon's Flight will easily be the best coaster at Six Flags Qiddiya and the best in its entire region. But to call it the best roller coaster in the world, especially before it's even opened, would be premature and overly judgmental. Of course, the main point I'm trying to make is also premature, but I'm just speculating and sharing my thoughts, okay? Take a chill pill. The second reason why Falcon's Flight won't become the world's best roller coaster is the layout. Like I said before, this ride will be unlike anything we've ever seen in scale, layout, and design. However, the layout looks kinda weird and incomplete. Now, if you think I sound like a spoiled enthusiast, you'd be correct, but hear me out. Picture the layouts real quick of all the best and most elite coasters out there. Visualize the incredible airtime moments and dueling aspect of Stardust Racers, the spinning feature and unconventional elements of Ride to Happiness, and the complete package of Velocicoaster. Now take another look at Falcon's Flight. Notice anything missing? Where there's massive scale, obscene length, and sheer force, there's little to no variety, which brings me to the point I jokingly made earlier. Coaster enthusiasts are spoiled. Now I may be downplaying the layout, but that's different from underestimating it. I understand that the airtime on this ride will be amazing, especially on that mammoth camelback hill. And don't even get me started on the positive forces that you'll pull on some of those insane turns. But if there isn't a good amount of every quality that makes a roller coaster amazing, the average thuzy will take that ride and throw it out of the discussion of their number one. And besides, positive G-forces aren't as valued in the coaster community anymore. It's okay, Pantherian, I still love you. Anyway, I think this is exactly what most enthusiasts will do with Falcon's Flight after their period of recency bias concludes. Alright, let's move on to another con of Buzzkill's Flight: capacity. We all love a coaster with good throughput. unless you like playing patty cake or heads up in the queue the whole time. The issue with Falcon's flight is a little unclear, but I still have my concerns as to how well Six Flags can keep the line for their star attraction ongoing and ever decreasing. And for this section, I will be referencing Elto Orion's video on Falcon's flight, so I would highly recommend checking out his video for a more in-depth analysis on this ride's potential design flaws. Now, we did get video confirmation that the third launch can thankfully act as a rescue swing launch if the train valleys after the cliff drop. However, the block section locations and amounts are still unclear. There are at least 7 of these zones that prevent trains from colliding into each other, seeing as there are 6 trains that carry only 14 riders per cycle. While there are many trains that run on the tracks, as Ryan stated in his video, the block sections could be very strange. Even with the dual loading station, and if it has a more aggressive block setup, it can only run so many people. This is due to the length of the block following the cliff drop, which will likely affect the overall efficiency of dispatch times. In Ryan's video, which I have linked in the description for your convenience, he made 2 calculations. The first one was with the traditional block setup, where a minimum consistent dispatch time of 80 seconds hypothetically wields 630 riders per hour. But with a more aggressive block setup observed by splitting the grand finale segment of Falcon's flight, capacity improves to approximately 840 riders per hour. So even if the blocks are set up in this more advanced manner, this theoretical capacity remains inferior to rides such as Thunderbird at Holiday Park, Desperado at Buffalo Bills, Maverick at Cedar Point, and even Aftershock at Silverwood. Combine this with the fact that this coaster is clearly the headlining attraction at this park, and you've got quite the glaring issue at a destination theme park, especially if Six Flags Qiddiya is a wild success. Of course, capacity doesn't affect how good the ride experience itself is, but it affects how often you get to experience a good ride. So given this and a major issue that I will get to in a second, this will most certainly hinder the reputation of Falcon's flight. Big problem. There's no theming. As I said in my video Glazing Stardust Racers before the ride even opened, one look at Falcon's flight suggests no effort at telling a story whatsoever other than the stylish trains. Taking a look at what's widely considered the world's #1 right now, Islands of Adventure's Velocicoaster, this ride combines all the things that make a coaster great to a near perfect extent. Heck, because of this layout plus experience equation, Velocicoaster will probably stand triumphant over the Stardust Racer's recency bias that may or may not fade soon. And therefore, because of the lack of layout diversity in Falcon's flight combined with the fact that there's likely no on-ride and or queue line theming, Velocicoaster will remain as the universally accepted world's #1. And then also people won't even be able to get to the new ride. Finally, we delve into a very interesting factor that may or may not affect the world's tallest, fastest, and longest roller coaster. The Saudi desert is known for being one of the hottest regions on Earth, and Six Flags Qiddiya is built right in the middle of it. The closest city to the park, Riyadh, reaches temperatures of well past 100 degrees Fahrenheit in the summer. And while the park will be climate controlled with indoor air-conditioned queue lines and restaurant buildings, ride safety measures and obscene heat is a whole other beast to tackle. Falcon's flight will feature various safety mechanisms around the layout, train, and station to ensure ride and guest comfort, just like the rest of the park. Water cooling systems can be found on the 3 LSM launches as well as the trains to cool off the motors and wheels. Similar technology can be found on Formula Rosa at Ferrari World, the current fastest coaster. However, the rise of oil countries like Saudi Arabia, specifically their dive into the theme park industry, is still quite recent, and some of this new technology has never been seen before on any other rides. Many questions that could affect the reputation and future of Falcon's flight are still unanswered. Will the windshields be a foolproof solution to the airborne sand and dust? Has Intamin considered the effects of heat expansion on the steel structures of the ride and the various elements that make this ride run? Are you still going to feel that sense of bolting down a cliffside at over 150 miles per hour with a windshield keeping you safe? Now, I'm not discrediting the engineering prowess of Intamin, as I am confident they have thought through every possible problem that could arise. But another big concern relating to this section is the level of problems this ride will encounter. Ride rescues, temperature shutdowns, operational suspensions due to trains running too hot or too fast, the list goes on. And that's not even accounting for the issues that occur day to day on the coasters that don't share the challenges and climate that Falcon's flight is bound to face. The point is, we don't know how problematic this coaster will be, how many possible design flaws will affect this coaster's reliability, and whether or not people will get to experience this revolutionary ride, or if it's just another lightning rod. But if this coaster is indeed a maintenance nightmare with the location, weather conditions, and overall operations, this may be the biggest contributor to harming the reputation of this attraction. So to sum it all up, Falcon's flight will no doubt be a fantastic standout roller coaster at an up-and-coming worldwide destination theme park. but there are robust amounts of potential issues and unanswered questions that will likely shutter any chances of this coaster becoming the world's best. The stat dilemma, lack of layout diversity, glaring capacity and theming gaps, and the newly explored territory that has never been touched in the industry thus far snowball into an exorbitant amount of messy design risks and guest satisfaction hazards. However, the true answer to the question of this video will, as always, lie in actually riding the coaster and juxtaposing its complete experience with other top-tier rides out there. This process, combined with the engineering prowess that is yet to be demonstrated and will unfold over this attraction's service life, contribute to my fascination over the big question. Will Falcon's flight become the world's best roller coaster and not just another hollow, issue-plagued record breaker?